All right, so here's something I didn't really want to do. Let's talk about the nonsense in Berkeley recently. And this is an article by MSN. So we know that they don't slant their news in any particular direction at all. But masked anarchists violently rout right-wing demonstrators in Berkeley. This, of course, being the third or fourth time this has happened, I swear to God. An army of anarchists in black clothing and masks routed a small group of right-wing demonstrators who had gathered in a Berkeley park Sunday to rally against the city's famed progressive politics, driving them out, sometimes violently, while overwhelming a huge contingent of police officers. Sorry. I'm trying to keep my voice low. This sort of thing really exceptionally pisses me off. My kids are asleep. My wife's asleep. I don't want to wake anybody up. It's, almost midnight on a Sunday night. My kids got school in the morning. Try not to do this. And normally I wouldn't do this because I like to keep my politics and my gaming channel separate. But I'm actually reaching the point where I have to fucking say something now, and that makes me mad. Usually I would leave this to someone like, say, fellow Arizonan Razor Fist, who always manages to do this with a lot more emotion and verbiage than I am particularly capable of, and I'm not that guy. There are other voices that do it. I leave it to them. I just keep my politics myself. This just pisses me off. Anyway, an army of anarchists in black clothing and masks routed a small group of right-wing demonstrators. Now, could that have been Antifa? Could that have been Antifa that had done that? I don't know. Hundreds of officers tried to maintain calm in and around Martin Luther King Jr. Civic Center Park before the 1 p.m. No Marxism in Berkeley rally, putting up barricades, searching bags, and confiscating sticks, masks, pepper spray, and even water bottles, because apparently somebody's learned a lesson at some point over the past year and a half. The goal was to head off the type of clashes that sprang up from similar rallies in the city earlier this year. But once again, counter-demonstrators frustrated efforts by police, who numbered about 400. Yes, 400 cops for this rally. And for the love of God, I don't understand why they didn't call in every single cop in a 100-mile radius, because you absolutely know the words right-wing, rally, and Berkeley is going to be a fucking bloodbath. As the crowd swelled to several times that size, officers stepped aside. I repeat, officers stepped aside and allowed hundreds of people angered by the presence of the right-wing rally to climb over the barriers into the park. Wow. Way to go. You assholes should be stripped of your badges. The masked counter-protesters, often referred to Antifa or anti-fascists, whom, for some odd reason, have managed to do exactly what the fascists have always done. So, yeah. Irony, thy name is not these motherfuckers. Significantly outnumbered the people who had come for the rally, many of them who wore red clothing supporting President Trump. The anarchists chased away the right-wingers, and in one case, 4 or 5 pummeled a man with fists and sticks before radio host, for reveal, Al Letson, jumped in to shield the victim. Anarchists also attacked reporters who documented their actions. So we have a giant mob of people who are wearing all black. Their faces are masks. They're armed with weapons. They're attacking everybody who they don't agree with. They're attacking reporters who report on them attacking people. And yet, for some odd reason, we still can't denounce these fuckers. I swear to God. By the time the confrontation wound down in mid-afternoon, police had arrested 13 people, including one for assault with a deadly weapon. Most were accused of bringing banned items into the park, which, again, if we look at the banned items in the park, where is that? Sticks, masks, pepper spray, and water bottles. So, there you go. Most were accused of bringing banned items in the park. 6 people reported non-life-threatening injuries. 2 were taken to the hospitals. We don't know what kind of condition those guys. They're included in the 6 non-threatening, so maybe they just had like a scalp wound or something. Those bleed like a son of a bitch. I've had them. They're bad. One of the many incidents caught on video, police protected Joey Gibson, the leader of the conservative group Patriot Prayer, who had canceled a rally Saturday at Christie Field in San Francisco after city leaders criticized the event plans as inciting white nationalists. Oh, and let's not forget that Nancy Pelosi herself got on her fucking soapbox and called them Nazis. At which point, well, all the fun little black-clad little shitheads decided to come out in droves, and Joey Gibson, showing just considerable aplomb and forthrightness, canceled the rally. Patriot Prayer, an organization I had never heard of, and I'm sure a lot of people had never heard of until Nancy Pelosi opened her fat mouth and decided to shoot it off in front of a camera and a microphone, got chased out by Antifa. Because they knew that if they showed up, these mobs would be coming for them, and the police would do nothing because they don't care. Or at least the people in charge of the police certainly don't seem to give a living fuck about, I don't know, upholding their mandate to protect and serve. The footage shows that Gibson backed away from a mob of black-clad aggressors who swore, hit him with a stick, and shouted, "Fascists, go home." It's ironic that none of them are leaving at this point, since they are the fascists in this instance. Gibson leaped over a concrete barrier before being chased into the embrace of riot gear-clad cops. The violence in the park remains under investigation, and police asked witnesses to report all injuries and submit any videos. Because, we're going to identify all these identical fuckers in their little, trendy little hoodies and masks. Saturday had been a day of mostly peaceful anti-hate demonstrations across San Francisco. Yeah, because they didn't have a target. The one people that they had planned on going stomping into the floor decided to not show up to the party, and it's kind of hard to have a freaking mob with, a riot with only one side. We're just as puzzled as to why people consider violence a valid tactic, because it works. We felt disappointed and surprised of how many people were not in any way discreet about being with Antifa. In fact, being very bold and prepared to be violent. Yeah, this is a 60-year-old woman, a native of Berkeley, who, along with a group of neighbors, left the protest when they turned chaotic. Well done. I'm glad to see you made it out okay. Like lime color, I think that's Dutch. I'm not positive. Thousands of people who came out to oppose the right-wing rally had no connection to the anarchist mob. Instead, they came to violence opposition to the policies of President Trump, many of which many people have said buoyed the white nationalists across the country. No. You know what's buoyed white nationalism? Fucking Antifa. It's like, oh, every single person who has an opinion I don't agree with and is white is a fucking Nazi, and it's okay to stomp them into the ground. That right there is what is buoying white nationalism. You bunch of violent shitheels, are their greatest enabler, and will continue to be so. No Trump, no KKK, no racist USA. Crowds chanted earlier in the day at the Civic Park Center. Yeah. Hundreds of mostly local residents converged at Berkeley's, I don't know how to say that, On Loan Park to oppose hate speech, racism, and white supremacy. They carried signs reading, "Berkeley stands united against hate, queers against hate, and end white supremacy." I think we ended white supremacy sometime around, I don't know, the civil rights movement. That whole equal rights for everybody. I'm not saying racists don't exist, because we know racism is still alive in the U.S. We know that racists still walk among us, except now instead of wearing white hoods, they're wearing black hoodies. It's important for people to show up and make it unacceptable for right-wing white supremacists to spew hate and incite violence. Yes, they incite violence by being there so you can pummel them. It's fucking ridiculous. He praised Saturday's tremendous victory in San Francisco and said Sunday was about galvanizing a movement to oppose white supremacy and the structures that support it. You support this by your actions. The tremendous victory in San Francisco. Are you fucking insane? A group of people decided not to show up because they knew they were going to get mobbed by a bunch of masked assholes. Some of them are going to wind up in the hospital. Some of them might even die. It's not like Antifa hasn't, had a 5-on-1 pipe beating at one point or another at Berkeley, but no, they're inciting the violence. Them having a legal permit to demonstrate and having an opinion, which it is their legal right to express, incites violence. Because you assholes will show up and kill them. Not looking very good for you. Now, here is the important thing. Berkeley had denied a permit to the organizer of the anti-Marxist rally. Organizer, Amber Cummings. I'm glad that they actually named her. I'm sure that she's not going to be getting shit tons of death threats from that. Thank you, MSN. That's very good of you. Saying her application had been late and incomplete. And Cummings later asked supporters not to show up because she feared violence, and she was right to do so. The swamping of right-wing political ideas by left-wing demonstrators has become a recurring theme in Berkeley and other California cities. No shit. The tension rose August 12th when a Nazi sympathizer allegedly drove his car into a crowd in Charlottesville. Which part of that is the alleged part? The part that he's a Nazi sympathizer, or the fact that he ran somebody over with a car? I'm a little confused where you're going with that. Allegedly drove his car into a crowd? I've seen footage showing his car being attacked before he did so, but I don't know who he is personally. I haven't looked at it. I probably should. They'd been protesting a white supremacist rally, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer and injuring 19 others. Trump blamed the violence in Charlottesville on many sides. Yes, he did. And you people called him a Nazi for it. So fuck you. A week later, on August 19th, left-leaning demonstrators dwarfed a right-wing rally in Boston. Yes, it wasn't a right-wing rally, it was a free speech rally. It only seems to be on the right because the left has so completely disregarded the concepts of free speech or freedom of assembly, which is protected under our First Amendment. By the way, there was maybe 50 of these guys and thousands of people baying for their blood. Police had to escort them to a safe location just to get them out of there. And if the cops had stood aside like they did at Berkeley, those people would probably be dead. In Berkeley on Sunday, some observers derived satisfaction from watching far-left protesters beat up and chase off a young man at the rally in apparent support of Trump. Well, it's good to see that political discourse and the freedom of ideas is still alive and well in Berkeley. Not that it ever has been. It's a good time, said Tom Martell, 70 of Crockett, who stood in the Civic Center Park with his girlfriend, Lisa Argento, 53. They've got to be chased out. I moved to the Bay Area and paid good money to live here. I don't want these people here. They need to leave us the fuck alone. Funny thing there, Miss Argento. I'm pretty sure that's what white supremacists said about black people in the 50s and 60s when they were starting to move into white neighborhoods. The fact that you don't recognize that is shocking since you were actually alive back then. And if you may not have been, your fucking boyfriend should have at very least fucking realized that little statement. She said that she had mixed feelings about ignoring members of the political right who rallied to drum up support for their views. What are we waiting for, she asked. They already hold the White House. They are already dragging people away in the middle of the night. Are you fucking kidding me? Prove it. We heard before Trump was going to be elected that there were going to be hate mobs in the street. The stormtroopers were going to come. They were going to drag off everybody who was brown, who was gay, who was left-wing. And it never happened. But what did happen is that you had mobs of these far-left, supported by the left, I might add, assholes in their black hoodies and their masks attacking every single person that they could get their hands on. And it's the right wing that are dragging people away in the middle of the night. The amount of moral dissonance involved in that statement is astounding. But others thought the actions of the mouse counter protesters were shameful. And I actually rather like this woman. What hypocrites, said Linda Fuentes Rosner, 69, a Spanish language interpreter from Vallejo, who glared at a group in the park chanting anti-Trump slogans. They don't know what they're talking about. You think it's okay that a Trump supporter gets beat up? It's embarrassing. The left has prevented the right from speaking, and that's not American. That's Depism. Thank you, Miss Rosner. Mrs. Rosner, I assume. And the very fact, a Republican, Fuentes Rosner, came to Berkeley for a conservative meetup that didn't happen. Organizers told her that the small group left because they felt intimidated, and they damn well should have. Jay Pino, 23, said he came to Berkeley from New Mexico to protest the right-wing rally, but peacefully. This doesn't have to be about violence, he said. The aggressive people here, I get it. It's hard to express their anger, and it's also hard to keep it in. I'm here to keep the peace. No matter how bad the other side is, we have to pray for them as well. So, does that mean that you're going to stop people from getting mobbed by, just 10 times their number of violent assholes. Are you going to step in the way for that? Are you going to show the conviction of your beliefs and actually prevent someone from getting beat up? I really doubt it. You fucking pussy. Yeah. You know what? I didn't really want to make this fucking article. Or this video. I didn't want to. But I've finally gotten to the point where I can't fucking take it anymore. This pisses me off. I mean, we had the fake little riot in Phoenix that was covered by Razor Fist last week. I have family in Phoenix. Thankfully not in that part of Phoenix, but God only knows what happens if they happen to be, driving across town to work or something and get caught in that shit. That's my family. I've got family in California. I've got some friends of the family that just moved up that way. What happens to them? They get caught in this. They get beaten down by these assholes who were beholden to no one, who just never, ever seem to be broken up. And the cops step aside. That's the thing that kills me the most. The cops are stepping aside. They did it this time. They did it when Milo Yiannopoulos was fucking talking. They did it so many other times. And it's just like, at what point do we hold these people fucking accountable? You're police officers. Protect and serve. It's like 1930s Germany. Except in the place of the stormtroopers, we have Antifa. And no one, absolutely no one, seems to have the stones to say anything anymore. Except for us right-wing people. And we're bad for saying it. I'm so fucking disappointed. I'm out.